It's 9 o'clock. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the Ruidoso workshop budget workshop meeting. If you'll stand with me, we'll do a moment of silence and then the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendships among united cultures.
All right. I look around and everybody does the same thing with their hand over the heart except for Susan. She does this.
That's the cheer. That's the cheerleader.
No, that I went to Girl State, and they taught us that your arm is level, and when you salute the state of New Mexico,
Oh yeah, you got it up
extend
there.
your arm.
Well, I was paying attention, and that's why I got my words off there just now. So I'm gonna start getting it level then.
I guess we missed them.
Yeah. I've been doing it wrong my whole life, but I am open to change.
No, girl, that was a very good program. That was an excellent.
That under, you think you know what you're doing, but you're not, right?
It was a very good program.
So we got, is this just for me? Did everybody get one municipal
No, we
court?
got it.
Thanks, Judge. Next on, we'll start with municipal courts. Yes, sir. Come up here and hit the microphone. And so you're enjoying the new digs over there? No, you're good. No, she just runs up if you need backup. That's the way she does this all. When they come around, everybody starts going like that. Then she gets up and says, "There you go."
That's her cue.
Yeah.
Well, Mayor, I have to tell you, and councilors, I have to tell you that Annette prepared the budget this year. She always does. Hasn't changed much. And we were lucky going into last year, we were able to apply for a grant that covered in our transition to the new court. She applied for a grant, and I can't remember exactly what the final dollar was, she'll tell you, but it covered all of our sound system, our telecommunication systems, our TVs, our computers, furniture, bunch of things was covered in that grant. And that was an old SARS grant. And of course, when that worked through Judy, and they had to modify it quite a few times, but I was really proud that they did what they did for us, and we can't thank you enough for the new court. It's very functional. We do a lot of telephonic, but we have a lot of walk-in, and we are handling a lot of different kinds of cases now due to I never thought the flood and the fires would affect the court quite like it has, but we're definitely seeing
In what way?
just people that, and let me back up a little bit. I can't say enough about our code enforcement people. I just came back from the annual conference yesterday for the Judges Association, and we probably have the best ordinances in Ruidoso. In fact, a bunch of the cities are adopting our ordinance. They're looking at it, they call me, and they'll ask me about different ordinances that we have. And by doing that, you have to have very good code enforcement people. And most cities in New Mexico lack that. Not Ruidoso. Our code enforcement people know their business. They're well respected. We get a lot of comments from the public in the court during the arraignments on our code enforcement people, how they handle them and things like that. And so we're really fortunate there because we have, just this past year, we dealt with planning and zoning, forestry cases. I think we started out with 305 cases, and we've been working through those, and I like to say we, as a judge, you know, it's kind of like the old movie you see on TV, we always get our man, you know?
Yeah.
We take care of business.
Well, let me ask you, this was brought up yesterday when we were talking to forestry. And, because I told them, I know you guys handle a lot of cases, but evidently we're still having a tremendous amount of people that it's dismissed. And so it kind of gets held up in limbo. And we're working on a better system where they don't have to go through and look at the renewal dates, you know, that we get a software that tickles them or it says, hey, this is coming due or past due. But what we're trying to do, and you've helped us a bunch with Upper Canyon on getting in touch with the right people, the property owners, and then working with Leroy and the guys over at the county. But one of the things yesterday I was really amazed at was the amount of properties that we're not finding out. They have a name, but we don't have a driver's license or whatever, and so we can't do anything with them. And so we're having to run them through the code enforcement on the clean and lean, and then that takes more time. So, and I didn't realize that you can't, that a business, you can't ticket a business or file a charge against a corporation that owns the property?
You can.
Okay, you can. So what do we need on those corporations? Just their tax ID number?
Well, let's back up on that a little bit. When you said dismissed a while ago, the only way they get dismissed is in our court is if they comply with what basically what the charge is. And we defer them and give them time to come in.
Okay, but if they don't have a driver's
Let's back up on that part.
yeah,
That part, as a judge, I don't have any control over this, but let me tell you what the ordinance says. So we need to go back and follow our ordinance. Our ordinance says under section 4273, notice to remove, and when they get that notice to remove by any code enforcement person, or by anyone really that has authority in the village, then it says that the property owner that has his or name, basically, the owner, and our ordinance says this, the tax record, the owner on the tax record. So, as a judge, I can't tell forestry how to use that, but I know what the ordinance says as a judge. So, I can't tell, really, even the court administrator has her own ways of finding out properties. But I'm just telling you what our ordinance says. So I'm a real stickler about following our ordinance. So
Sure.
if we want to all follow our ordinance, we will go to 4273, and you look at that, and it says in there, it's very clear. And that's why our ordinances are so good. Sometimes we might not be following them exactly like we should.
so do they have to have their driver's license number? Can they just have a name?
They just need to be the owner of the property.
What we
Did I
can't-
misunderstand
No.
yesterday?
We can't put them, okay, so we've had 18-plus cases, there's no identifying factors. We have to have a name.
That's what it was.
If you bring a company to us, we can't
Okay.
send it to a company that's going to go here, there, everywhere. It's
No,
not
but I
gonna
mean,
do
that's
so.
what, the point I'm trying to make is, everybody's telling me why we can't do it, but, so the forestry should be able to go to the county records. The
Exactly.
county should have a record, because they collect taxes, they know where the bill's mailed.
Right.
They know who's the responsible party, so why can't we get that information? And we've sent them a letter, they don't comply, they bring that information, forestry, to you, you have everything you need.
So when they bring us a criminal complaint, they have, if they don't have any identifying factors, we can't proceed with that.
What do you, okay, right there, hold on,
Yes.
please.
Point we're
Date of
talking about.
birth.
Identifying
Driver's
factors, does that mean a name? If they don't have a name, or they only have a name and not a date of birth?
They have a name. There's no date of birth, there's no driver's license. We can't, as
Okay,
you
that's
know,
what I understood, and that's what I
That's-
said yesterday.
They-
That the courts have to have more than just Lynn Crawford. They have to have Lynn Crawford.
You have to have their driver's
June
license.
17th, 19.
That's what I just asked, and you said no.
No, they have to have a date of birth and a
Yes.
driver's license. If
Right.
they don't have a date of birth, their driver's license, so what the forestry relies on is they get their information from here first. So if they come over here, they don't have a date of birth or driver's license with any of their water billing, we don't have it.
But see, the ordinance doesn't say that.
Well, she says she's going to the county.
The ordinance says if you have a name of a property owner, it says right here in our ordinance that you can use that name as, and you can go back and read it. It doesn't say anything about driver's license, about anything.
Well, see, that's the point I'm trying to
Yes.
make, but I'm just trying to find out, because we do have properties, and you've heard it, we hear it.
All the
I'm
time.
keeping my property clean, but they can't. And what we've run into, and are running into now, is people that haven't cleaned up their property after the fire. Okay, and they're not living here, and everybody else is cleaning theirs up, and every time when we get a flood or a rain, it's gonna wash down onto their property. So that, these people are saying, well, you can, and then we contact these people and say, sign up for the PPDR program, and they haven't, and they're not responding, so they could be liable. And this would be probably a civil case, that they could then have a lawsuit against the people next door. So the people have come to us and say, I clean my property and thin it, and I do everything, but my neighbor's not doing it, and you're not doing anything. So when we go to forestry, they're saying they're having trouble getting the information. And what, did she not tell us yesterday? It was.
Yes.
that She had to have a driver's
Identifying
license, she had to have
factors.
all the different things, and then we're saying the ordinance says we just have to have a name.
Here's what our ordinance says, and you can go look it up right now if you want to, but it says. that-
Well, what, hold them in court, that's the point, I
No,
guess.
we do,
That 4273, and as a judge, that's really what I have to go by. I can't.
But she's just saying if they don't have a driver's license, she's not giving it to you.
Well, this property owner says this is in the forestry ordinance. It says, before it even comes to a net, it says, if they know the owner's name, the property owner as his or her name appears on the tax roll, that's what they should bring to,
Well, that's what we were told they're bringing.
yes.
right.
So that's what we gotta do, we got a communication deal.
Same with the clean and lean, we're gonna do a clean and lean, we're not gonna ask for their date of birth or a driver's license, we're gonna,
The property,
Yes.
yes, ma'am.
So on the application, we do ask for the driver's license and date of birth,
They, application for what?
a utility account.
Okay, so we should have it.
So we should have it either in the account or the actual application scanned into the system.
Next question, how long have we had that form?
it's
I know we
been,
updated it
yes.
like 4 years ago.
So you have some customers that have been here 30 years.
They
They've
don't
never
have it,
been
right.
updated.
And so,
Yep.
the point is that we're getting all the reasons why we're not getting them done, and it seems like we have a communication deal with that. So what we're saying is, we do not have to have driver's license and social security number, all that. We just need a name and an address.
Well, we went over that at the Municipal Judges Association.
Uh-huh.
And I was assured that read your ordinance, what it says about your ordinance, because a lot of cities are having that same trouble. Because it is hard to chase people down, but it says, read your ordinance, what your ordinance says, follow your ordinance, and you don't worry about anything else. Now,
But
there is a
Judge,
section in our ordinance too, that's 4274, that if the code enforcement, say the building inspector or one of the code enforcement people decides they don't want to file that in the court, they can basically go to the city council with that. And I think there have been some cases that they can circumvent the court and go straight to the city council, and then
Yeah.
it can be appealed and all that
Sure.
stuff. To me, I don't know why you'd want to do that.
Well, we don't,
I'd
because,
run everything through the court, but anyway, that's what that says. But then, any officer under 4275, which is part of our ordinance also, may issue through the judicial, or their agency through the judicial court. Any officer that's authorized in this village of Red Oak, so code enforcement officer, if they have that person's name, and they can And then they'd, on that criminal complaint, they would have their information also from the tax records in Carrizosa, and that's how they would file that. So, and Annette will tell you that when you read Rule 108, which is what courts have to go by, and she may be talking about in there, because court administrator and the judge does a lot of different things. She runs the court, and she runs that administrative part of it the way she wants to run it. She also keeps the judge in line, making sure that we follow all statutes and all procedures and everything, because it's real critical. If we get into court, one of the things she makes sure when we're doing arraignment on these people, a lot of people don't even know why they're in court. They have no idea. And so we try.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. They don't
know they got a speeding ticket. They don't know they.
Talk about the forestry cases.
But they've tried to, they've received notice, because I assure you, I hear about it all the time, and I called Dick and the forestry guys, say, what do they need to do to get to that point? And most of it is if they'll just start in compliance, if they'll start making an amendment, and then they don't even go to court.
Let me back up. I'm the judge. I'm sitting there looking at their file, right?
Yeah.
There's one fun thing about being a judge, is I have the court docket. I have the goods on them. I know whether they've done this or that, everything about that person. There's their signature where they received it.
Yeah.
But they still don't understand why they're in court. Now, it's our job. Our court is very low-keyed, and we require a lot of demeanor and quorum in that court, and we're real low-key. And I'm so proud of us, because Sandy and Annette and some of these people know they're facing a lot of cost on these trees, 6,000-8,000, as much as.
And I agree with that. Some people can't do it today.
So they're scared, for one thing. And so, but when they come before the judge, and you're able to defer that for 30 days and give them time to work
Sure.
through the forestry, and then it gets dismissed. See, you're going to deferment. If they comply, it gets dismissed.
Right.
So that's why you may see a lot of, hopefully you see a lot of.
No, the dismissals I'm talking about, because before it gets to you,
Yeah,
we've worked out, the guys in the field, Eric and Dick and those guys, they'll say, if you start, and we've done that on the clean and liens, and we've had people that have started, so that's when we changed the ordinance. They'd start, and then our old ordinance said, well, they've started, so now you have to go through the whole cycle again of giving them 30 days, 60 days. So we changed that. But if they start and complete it, it never even gets to you.
Yeah.
So we give them that chance already. And then I know that you come in and give it. What I'm talking about is that's all been done one way or the other. And we hand it to you. I want to know what our forestry department has to have so that you can act.
Yeah.
And if it's a driver's license, then we got to figure it out. But if the ordinance says that is just their name and the property description, then I want to make sure that that's what we have so that we can move these things on instead of those getting dismissed, because what was represented to us yesterday.
Yeah,
We can't contact them, they don't contact us.
Well, you got their mailing and address. I'm
We get
sorry.
return mail. So out of,
Then
we've
that's
had
when you put out a bench
314
warrant.
cases filed since 6:30. 18 had no identifying factors. Some of them because their houses did burn. We didn't catch it. They had to contact over here to City Hall, so that's 18. We have 51 open right now, and so we have closed 245. So a lot of people are working with us. And we have a name, but some people don't get served. We don't have any identifying factors, and I know it's not on there. Maybe something needs to change in there, because without that, the police department, they can't do that. They can have.
Let's stop. I don't even want to get to that. Right now, I just want to keep it simple. We're getting into so-and-so, so-and-so. I want to know what you got to have, and then you just said
Driver's
that we
license,
get a
date of
returned mail. You've already got their name, you've already got an address, they're supposed to be picking their stuff up, and they're just not picking their mail up. I was in that point when I was in college, and I got my first American Express, and I thought that was free money. And then all of a sudden, I started getting notices. Well, guess what? I just didn't pick that one up, and it got returned to sender. Okay, so I know people play games. So you're telling me that all they got to do is ignore that and it gets dismissed? There's no way to put out a bench warrant or blue warrant or?
No.
That's what I was saying
It's just so
yesterday,
hard.
that from a law enforcement perspective, you cannot issue a warrant on a name only. That's
Right.
why they're saying it's imperative.
So we just need to go straight to a lien at that point.
You either gotta have a date of birth
Yeah,
or a driver's license number that then identifies you as who you are instead of just a name.
Even though my name's on the tax records and I pay taxes at the county.
Unless you can get the date of birth or an identifying number, you can't issue a warrant.
yeah. A
'Cause
warrant's a different deal.
Well, I'm just trying to get people into compliance, and they seem to be able, a smaller group are standing in the way because they don't respond. Okay, and then everybody's like, it goes on down the road, but we're still trying to get those people in compliance.
Yeah.
And so all the mechanisms that we have are failing us. And that's the point I'm trying to make, but everybody's doing this, well, I gotta have, and so I just wanna know what I gotta have, because we're gonna figure it out. And make sure that from now on, when people get their water bill and all that stuff, that they have to have their driver's license number. And we'll go back to our records and try to get those done, but the county should have all that.
They do.
And so.
Will they have identifying factors, though? Will they have your ID?
That part I don't know. See, I only can go by
What he's got in front of him.
The thing about it is even you and Annette are at a different point, because
Well-
Annette has to have the identifying factors to even give it to you, but yet you're saying the ordinance only says,
Name and
See, the
property.
difference in the judge and I've got the easy part. I just do what she brings me. She literally will spend time trying to, in the computer, chasing that person down.
Well,
Yeah.
but see, that's just a third of it. We got people in the back office down there that's been doing it for months, wasting time. That's the point I'm trying to get across, is that it's not working, and we're tasking a lot of people, and they don't have the tools to complete it. And so they have to go over the same ones over and over.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the neighbors are upset.
Yeah.
They're coming to us. We're going to Dick and those guys. They're working on it. It's what we hear. They're trying to make contact. They send out the letters, then they get dismissed, because they don't even get to you. They just get sent back because I don't have a driver's license. And then it just sits there. And so it comes back on their desk, and they don't know what to do with it.
What Annette said, though, you only have 13 right now?
We've had about 18, we have,
They have been
We have
sent
three.
back.
we have 3 warrants active.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the ones, if they come to you, no driver's license comes back, you're not even counting those.
Those
No.
are counted in those of 14 to 18. We've had such
So the
great
ones that
success
they
with
bring
these.
you, here you go, and you go, I don't see a driver's license, I'm not giving it to the judge, it comes back to my desk.
No,
You're saying,
we summons them, and if it doesn't, then no contact, we send a first summons, a criminal summons. They
Even
don't
without a
appear,
driver's
then we do
license?
Yes, we still work with them.
Okay.
Then we send a failure to appear if they didn't come. Then I will add a contempt charge if they don't come. But it's not that we're not looking at old addresses that we have, it's not like, but this is going a little over and beyond, because what they bring us is what we have, and that's what we go off of.
but you will send out letters and stuff to those that do not have a driver's license? or-
Yes, we send everybody. We
Yeah.
start the case, they bring it to us, we proceed with the case, and we can get that far. When we get return mail, I will still send a failure to appear.
We don't just-
I'll possibly try and find another,
Yeah.
address, which that's over and beyond, because
Yeah.
we're supposed to come, get what we have, open it, and go from there. But we do, we send them a summons, we do a failure to appear. I'll send one more with a contempt charge. We'll look at old addresses, we'll try and find other addresses, and we have brought some in. So, but that is where we're at.
You
They
might-
bring us what we have, and we go off of that.
We might get I can't suggest anything as a judge, but what I do is if I have questions about our ordinance or about a legal procedure, I go to the attorney. And so we also have under our municipal code, or our municipal ordinances, under 4238, I believe it is it all references in there also, if you do get a criminal complaint, what you're up against as a property owner or whoever you are. And it could, not just forestry, we get a bunch of other ones, but that refers to 1.6, 5438. That's 90 days in jail, $500 fine. And that's why when you're dealing with property owners and these criminal complaints, and I think we're doing a heck of a job. I mean, I know we are in the court.
Well, nobody's saying you're not, and everybody thinks, I'd ask these questions, and then I'm more confused after I hear the answer yesterday.
Yeah,
And then I'm talking to y'all, and then I get confused, and everybody up here was seeing what I was seeing, is we gotta figure out, how do we not, because I know she goes over those things over and over, and we're not getting them fixed. And so I'm trying to figure out, how do we get them fixed? And they should, and I'm not stupid enough to believe that the county doesn't have the records because they get their taxes collected.
well, it goes back to me being the judge, and of course, I'm elected, and, you know, we're the third arm of government, legislative, executive, judicial. So the judge basically has to deal with what comes to him. So I make darn sure I deal with the ordinances and try to do that part. And then Annette, what she deals with over here is kind of a different story. She might like,
Well, she's the administrator, I get that. It's just like in different departments, you have certain things you do.
like Counselor Hooker said, you know, you gotta be careful sometimes because once they get to the bench and you're dealing with that person, you better make sure you're talking to, we even have sometimes, we have to check on there where it says, you know, on property on the deed, it'll say, he and her or his wife and them, or it may just say the man. So we have to she does that, I don't do it. She makes sure all that's straight before it gets to the judge and gets in that docket, so we know that we're dealing with that person.
The right one.
So that's why you have to have identifying factors, because you have to have a picture ID of that person that's in front of you to take to the judge.
What identifying factors is because we have Texas. I can't look at Texas, anything like that. So if we do have identifying factors, someone goes into a warrant, I can look up if they have a New Mexico driver's license, I'll put that on the warrant. But we can only deal with what they bring us. A criminal complaint, just like a citation, whatever
But you're
information.
still diverting. She just asked you a question. You need a picture. That's what she just asked you. Wasn't that what
No,
you
I
just said?
need
You need an identifying
The
picture.
reason they do a driver's license is when it goes to dispatch, the driver's license has their identifying other factors, eye color, height, weight. That's why the driver's license, so they can do that, because they're not gonna wanna arrest somebody, they wanna get that verification.
Okay.
So that's what it is. If New Mexico, I'll put a picture, Texas I won't, but if I have a driver's license and a date of birth, that is what they can do a warrant on. If I don't have that, they can't.
But you won't realize, what we just mentioned, 300 and whatever cases, and she said we've cleared these. You can't believe the amount of work that goes.
Dude, I understand, Judge, but it's already been, that same amount of work's already been done.
Yeah,
And then to get it to you, that's what I'm saying. We're wasting some of our employees' time.
Yeah.
Causing them extra work. And I know how it is when I get a bunch of work on my desk, I can't clear.
Yeah.
Because I'm missing something. I know how frustrating that is. And so that's what we're trying to figure up is what's the disconnect? And I get frustrated because I still don't understand everything, but what we have got to do is make sure that the forestry, and Dick's listening, that we get a driver's license number or whatever identifying factors we have, that we need to make sure from now on at the village with the water bill and everything that we have that. And if it's vacant, we need to have a clear access to the county. And so we need to establish that with Leroy and those guys, and they've already told us we can. So we need to make sure that if they just want to, it's okay for Dick or whoever to call, that we set that channel up. And if
Yeah, well-
it's not that and they want you to call, then we'll have you call.
Yeah, we'll get a hold of Leroy and the treasurer also and see what information they
I
have.
just want to get it where
Yeah.
y'all get your information, we can clear them.
Yeah.
And the forestry doesn't have to keep messing with these things.
see, the
Yeah.
forestry's ordinance doesn't say anything about that driver's license.
I know, but she's saying before it gets to you, she's got to have it.
Yeah.
And so that's the point, that there's no sense in getting him to court. We drag him in and he's junior, and that's senior, you know, but when he bought it, junior wasn't even thought of. You know, I understand those things happen. So I'm just I could just tell from yesterday and from y'all that it gets frustrating,
Yeah.
you know, and then we're expecting to clear these. And then when you dig into it, it's like, well, these are enigmas that we've got to figure out the pieces to.
But if we, if we can't figure it out any other way, then that's when the lean and clean.
Clean and
look.
lean, yeah.
But
Yeah,
we do
clean
have a
and
lot of
lean. We're-
people, like I said, more than half of these that we have on here, they want to comply, we contact them, they contact us. A lot of these that come, don't have a driver's license or a date of birth, but they're in compliance. So that is our stopping, is where we don't have
Let me
that.
ask you this, can, forestry ask for a driver's license and all that?
No, I wouldn't say that they could, but when they're filing the paperwork to get to court because of non-compliance, we should have, they're gonna need that to fill out on the form. Who owns the property? And that's what we gotta make sure we're getting.
They may have a harder time getting that driver's license and all that stuff you want, and your ordinance only says you need the property.
Well, if they want their water turned on,
Your ordinance.
Yeah, if we do
says
it
that-
from the village.
It says, your ordinance says property owner as his or her name appears on the tax roll. It doesn't say driver's license in that. And I'm not,
I know, but-
I'll stop right there, because I'm not gonna issue.
I know, but see, you're just, this Chinese wall that we're imagining right now is not making any sense, is it? I mean, you're telling me you don't have to have it, and the one sitting next to you says she gotta have it.
I'm just saying what the ordinance says.
Yeah.
I'm
but
not,
then, okay,
does
well,
the,
we're gonna sit here and just keep going.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna fix it, because it's not gonna get fixed by itself, but I think I understand now. And then we're gonna have to revisit, and we haven't, the fines, you know, we stayed off of them because of all stuff with the AOC. But just some of the fines I know are not, you know, going through the school zone should be a lot more, because we still have a lot of speeders. We got police officers that are watching that, and I know they're starting to write tickets finally on different streets where we get complaints daily. We're going out and putting speed bumps all over town because people are speeding, it gets dangerous. So we'll have to revisit that.
We'll work on the penalty assessment ordinance and work with that, and just, we'll increase the fees on that.
And then we'll
Fines.
figure out if we need to add language to that ordinance.
yeah, they don't let the judges even talk about that part of
Mm-hmm.
the
No.
thing. You can talk to the court administrator or the
But
police
the
chief.
court is out on, we can't do anything with fines.
Yeah.
We're separate.
No, I know all
No,
that. We
no,
know all
we're
that.
doing- we're doing that.
Is that what we do?
Yes,
Yes.
we do the fines,
We'll
we
work with
do
the-
all that. I'm
yes.
just telling you, we're gonna have to do it. But
Jenny and I have done that before. It's not a, going back to the, because my son got the red camera, you know, like in Albuquerque. They just got a picture of this has been years ago, of the license plate. Well, I got the warrant because all they did was go off the license plate.
Yeah.
And I got a warrant from Albuquerque, the police
and
department.
they'll come get you.
Yeah, had to pay that $500.
MVD has that information. We can't go off of their information.
That was in MVD. That was the city of Albuquerque. That was their private,
Well, right, they
company.
have access to that. They can write those
Yep.
citations.
But he wasn't driving a car.
I wasn't driving the
Right,
car.
it's gonna go under registration. When we
Right.
get a parking citation, we're gonna go off of,
Yeah, because the MVD, the license plate is tied to your name, whoever's the
And
registered
it's owned by
owner,
the state.
and it has your date of birth and your driver's license attached to it. That's how they can issue the warrant.
But I wasn't driving, and they can't prove I was driving.
Right, that's a whole nother story, but when you're asking how did
Yeah.
they issue a warrant, that's why.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I get that, but yeah, we can't, we got the person's name and their billing address, so we're sending it to Texas to clean your property, and we can't do anything because it doesn't have a driver's license or any other identifying factors.
So, okay.
See, that's why I just get confused over this, because I got caught in the same trap.
No?
Somebody was driving the vehicle I didn't know, and it got on the toll booth, and they never paid it, and I got a ticket or a fine 3.5 years later, and it was $1,100. And I said, I ain't paying it. And they're like, and I wasn't even driving.
Yeah.
It was before I bought the car. But I bought it, same tags, they didn't issue me new tags, and so here I go, and so guess what? I paid it.
yeah, we see a lot of that.
ours
But it's-
is, they sign the citation and that's when we can go proceed with that.
Yeah.
With all this, what I was telling you about the fires and the floods, think about all the trucks and the trailers that are running through Red Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And the police officers are looking at those trailers, and you better have that paperwork on that trailer in your car.
Well, and they've caught some that weren't even insured.
Whole dang thing, 'cause you can get tagged for that. pretty-
But that's what y'all realize, we're on the same team. I just know it's frustrating because yesterday when we were trying to figure this out, it didn't make sense to me, because you were the one that got me hooked up with Leroy to get the information on the property owners.
Well, the reason I did that was I was following ordinance. I was just trying to help coordinate the city in
Yeah.
doing that.
And so, and we did that, so that's why I didn't understand who in our, it shouldn't be up to me and Ron to call over to the county to get the information, so that's what we need to find out, get a direct line for forestry, that they can call on these to get the information.
You know, in Rule 108, and Hooker's probably pretty familiar with Rule 108 and court procedure stuff, it talks about serving, how you serve a summons. It'll drive you crazy. And there, you can run around and put it on the renter's door, on their doorstep, if they're not there, somebody's renting a house, a summons. It just says it has to be delivered, you know, and
Yeah.
you've seen the sheriff's department run around and chasing somebody down to get a summons. Well, he's gotta make sure if it's that person, they get it in the right hands. But it's really, it's not vague, it's just, they cover everything, that you can do everything in the world in the summons to get it to that, you've tried to get it to that person. If they don't answer that, I'm sure a lot of courts in New Mexico, they'll go one summons, two summons, warrant. Warrant. And we do a lot of warrants, but we do a lot of warrants for failure to appear, and, you know, that's just the nature of the court, and,
We're just trying to figure it out, because it's causing so much headache back there. And then when we're trying to deal with it in blocks that people haven't cleaned it, and that's all there is.
I
So,
think it'd be good if the city attorney would just review everything and say, okay, here's the steps.
okay,
It'd be pretty simple.
we'll do it. All right, well, that's all I had on that, but we're gonna work on the fines, because we laid off of them because we were trying to
We'll
step
just,
through all the AOC stuff last year.
yep.
Because the whole point is, you have one branch, two branch, three branch, you gotta enforce it. You don't enforce it, you issue the deal. We gotta have somebody go enforce it. And so that's the whole point. We want to be able to make it where, because another thing on some of the fines, I had a guy laughing at me because he went and paid a fine and it was $25 or $19 or whatever. And he laughed at me. He said it wasn't even worth our time. You know, and I'll just keep doing it. And it's like, oh, it's like some of the ordinances that we have with Dick and those guys on our water bill. If you're in compliance or not in compliance, what is it, $10 difference?
Yes.
Okay, so that's not, all the work that we do to put in this for safety and all that, we gotta, and I hate to be punitive, we've already tried education, we've tried all this stuff.
Exactly.
So it's when we get past that point that we need to make sure that it's swift, you know, that we get it done. And so we've got to be more proactive on those issues. And that's why AJ was calling me, because he's one of the ones, the municipal league was like, hold off, hold off, hold off, you know, we're recommending.
Well, I don't know where that came from, because it sure wasn't the way the judges handled that.
No,
Their courts.
well, it was just what they were saying with, and what's his name, the judge from Roswell?
Seskey,
He was there,
yeah.
and, you know, and he didn't talk too much either, but it was that we just were holding off, because
Well, see,
us and several were wanting to upgrade our
No, they
fines.
didn't want to cause any issues with AOC because they wanted to close the courts, and that was the whole thing. I said, well, you know, they're not, gonna, you know, we're going to move forward and raise our,
And we're still gonna support our,
you know,
Yeah,
I need
you
to-
won't see judges talk about that much. Who you see talk about that is police chief.
you know. I've been trying to get hold of Eddie Crane over at Healing Spring. Y'all go ahead and do your
So
thing, and
on
I'll be.
our budget, go ahead, Annette, what you did on this.
It's pretty much the same. We've only gone up $200 on one line item for our full court agreement, because it seems to go up 200. So everything stayed the same except for that last one. And then we did add $500 under building property maintenance, and that's it.
Well, your court looks beautiful.
We get a lot
We're
of
very
comments.
proud of it.
We get lots of comments on it.
Yeah.
And I don't think most people get comments on their court, but even younger people walk in there and say, wow, this is really nice.
Yeah.
And I know the judge also said, you know, we're doing telephonic, we do walk-in, but we are doing Google Meet, and it's easier, like with the jail and stuff. And so we're doing that also for people who can't come in and they want to see the judge, it's just easier for them also.
Sure.
And we can't say enough about working with the departments like on forestry and code enforcement and all these guys. My gosh. I can't brag on them enough because they work hard at what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
If our procedures are not right or we got some problems in here, they're fixable, you know. As a judge, on my 27th year, 37th year, however many years I've been in the city government, I don't like people violating municipal codes. And we have a lot of codes out there that we don't even really, Britt also could be very ornery if they wanted to on a lot of codes that we have.
Okay, good to go. Thank y'all.
Okay.
I wanted to
Appreciate
appreciate, one more thing, I wanted to appreciate all your efforts in getting that grant as well.
Yes,
To
absolutely.
update some of the systems in the Corps, because that came out of a different pocket altogether, and it helps us to help you.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, HR. Mama Cheryl, isn't that what the mayor says? Okay. Sure, I got it right.
Morning.
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 So mine, I don't have a whole lot of changes. I went up in some line items and down in others. So the first one, the temporary salaries, that's gonna be for our internships. This year, with the fire and everything, we only, we had to cut the program short, of course, and you can see we only used 2,000 out of the budget that we were allotted. So we'll have the remaining of that to use through the end of the fiscal. And then, proposed 55.7 for the next year.
Cheryl, on those internal internship, so they just come in for the summer? Are they still going to college or is this for somebody that's wanting to see if this is something they want to do?
So the program was designed to do high school internship,
Okay,
plus and college interns, and then graduate interns.
okay.
It looks like this time we might have a couple individuals at the fire department that want to come on as interns for the summer to see how that goes, that
Okay.
aren't necessarily in school.
Oh, yeah, because this isn't just into HR. This could be in any.
Oh, correct.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
That's-
no,
Yeah.
yeah,
It
no,
could
I
be
know
any
it's not
department.
HR, yeah,
Yep.
but this is, yeah, absolutely.
But you're
So
paying for it.
you could have an internship in the water department,
Yes.
maybe, yeah,
We have a emergency management intern set up
Yeah.
to come on in a couple weeks. Finance will have one for the summer and executive. And then Kate has identified two from fire that were in the testing that came in second and third, so they'll come on and then the only other one, which will total 6, will be for HR.
Cool.
So, and that'll run, based on the different rates and about 30 hours a week for the summer, 38,880. So it still gives us some, for Eddie, still gives us some if we want to do a fall or a spring
Yeah.
internship, so.
okay.
Let's see, going down to subscriptions and dues, we went up there a little. We were taking out the all-in-one posters. Those are our federal and state posting requirements. We were taking that out of safety this year. So it's actually a subscription because anytime that there's an update made, they'll automatically send out new posters to us.
And that has to go to every building, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
yes, ma'am. Employee awards went up a little bit. We did add in, for the first time, $1,000 for employee wellness. We had our wellness event this year. It went well. It didn't cost a lot to do it, but we did spend some on food. Vendors came in for free and offered their services, and it went really well. And then the floats, we did kind of take on that this year, the Aspen Fest and the Christmas Parade. It was fun. We had a lot of village employee help, so we're just asking for a little bit to fund that if we can.
You've got a lot of retirements this year, don't you?
We do, my count is at 10 right now. If I'm not forgetting anybody. And then we'll have 29 service credit awards in December, so.
I'm looking at some in here that are.
I know, I just did this.
Let's see, general office supplies just went up, just a little bit, for extra printing supplies for the safety coordinator. Non-cap stayed about the same. Safety equipment went down significantly. We've pretty much established that program. We have a lot of the resources we need. So we're just asking for enough to get us through, materials and renewal certifications and such. We did have to pick up, Samba MBR monitoring. The league was providing that all this time for us for free, no charge. And they made the decision to move away from that.
What is
And
that?
That left the municipalities. It's so we can check motor vehicle reports before we,
Oh, okay.
before we
Okay.
hire, and then, to monitor our,
Cost on that, you told me before, but what is that?
6,500 for the year. And it really depends on how many that would be the highest it would be. It really depends on how many we run that year, but it also has a feature that monitors drivers, so we'll know if one of our field workers get a suspension or a citation,
I
or
was gonna
if
ask,
they're
don't you
expired.
have that?
We do.
Or that's part of it?
That's part of it, yes.
So if you have a driver that is out in the field and gets a ticket,
But like if you're off somewhere else or, on your personal.
yeah, personal.
If your driving status changes for whatever reason, then
Yes.
you should be able to hear it or know it.
Yeah, I mean, it can happen to the best of us that our license expires and we don't realize it. We had an officer not long ago, we had to call and say, hey, you need to get into MBD, and so. But we did have to pick up that expense. We were already using the system, so we're familiar, it works well, and it's good to have. Contract legal fees stayed the same. Under professional services, I was requesting $1,000 for counseling sessions for personnel. The league takes care of all public safety counseling as needed for no charge, but this would be for any other employees that we might need to help out too.
Are they, Dr. Rogers is I think they'll have it for anyone. I don't think they'll charge us for that.
For public safety, they do not.
I
It's
think
100% free.
I thought for the ones, we haven't been charged for the ones they've been,
We were
have we been charged for it?
We
Wow.
had two we were charged for, and one was a public safety.
Okay, I'll have to
so
talk
we-
to the league on that, but, okay. I didn't know that.
And then the compensation study, I did get 4 quotes. I had, one from Gallagher for $49,500, DCI for $41,000. Salary.com is actually Sherm's data provider. They came in at $48,000. I happened upon, and I got all these through the Sherm website, but I happened upon a company called OpenComp, and they will do the compensation analysis for $12,000, which is a reduced price, but they have a software that that we can actually purchase a subscription for, which is on the next page. And once we do the pay study, and we get aligned where we need to be, we'll be able to continue using that software. And it's real-time market data for 4,700, I'm sorry, what was my number?
Is that Open Comp?
I'm sorry.
Open Comp, is that the one you're addressing, 27.5?
No, I was looking at the number of positions that it's 43,000 positions, public sector and private and nonprofit, that they have live, real-time market data on. So if we're having an issue recruiting water and sewer, we might look at that and see what's going on there, or drivers. we might look and see. Now, they're going to look at local, and they'll look at state and national, which we'll be able to see all of that instead of just staying in New Mexico. The scope, it includes up to 250 employees. And they'll get us, they'll ask us for a list of local municipal comparisons and other entities that we want them to survey. But then in the software, we'll have those plus many, many more.
So this open comp, you know how we're always saying, okay, so department, go out and look at Roswell, Alamogordo, Taos, where, Santa Fe, what, will they do that?
Yes, they will. They'll get a list from us of New Mexico entities, and then local, I can give them, they're happy to get names, ENMU's one probably. The schools, we were concerned at for a little bit because of custodial and maintenance, they had raised their rates, and so we could include the schools if we want, ENMU, Ruidoso. I thought about other state offices that are here that might be competition for us, and then just general retail and food industry. Mike did the demo with me. When I found them, I thought it was really cool, and Mike sat in and did the demo with me. And so they'll, they're going to incorporate CPI and economic trends and conditions and look at all of that. So they'll benchmark us based on job title, location, industry, size, and evaluate cost of living data. So on the next page, or let's see, I'm sorry. What's that one?
For the salary survey, correct?
Yeah, the
We're
12,000.
starting it now, so.
So they're gonna give us the salary survey, or provide that for 12,000 with a zero, they're gonna 100% waive the implementation fee. And then they offered us, the subscription for 27.5, if we do a 2-year subscription with them. If we don't do a 2-year, we just do a 1-year, it's, about 31,000. So it does save us a little. But again, we'll be able to look in there anytime. We don't get charged for extra administrators in the system. If Ron needed to have access, and Judy and Mike and HR and the mayor, or, whoever we decide, there's no extra cost for that.
Man, that's an awful lot of money.
But essentially, the way I'm seeing it is if we get this and it's really beneficial, and we really like it, we really don't ever have to pay for another pay study. Because we have all that real-time market data
But that's only for 2 years, that 27.
But again, the quotes I got for regular pay studies were 49.5, 41, and 48, so.
Yeah. Okay. So was the recruiting, did that, it sounded like we got maybe some employees from the recruiting.
From the job fair?
Uh-huh.
We got some, yes, and we got some that didn't pan out, but we did get some good ones, and we had a good turnout there. It was a really good turnout. We had around 85 people come through the doors, and all the directors were involved, and it was a good time.
Okay.
It was a good experience. So I think those are my two big ticket items.
What's the RMPELRA conference?
Oh, that's the Rocky Mountain Employee Labor Relations Conference with our attorney, Dina Holcomb.
Oh, okay.
Any questions for me?
Nope, very complete, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Cheryl, for all you do. We appreciate it.
I think Gina's supposed to be here doing ours, so go ahead.
Good morning.
Morning.
There she is. You heard me.
Heard you call me out. Yvonne didn't text me.
Okay,
You're next.
for the village clerk's budget, you're not gonna see a whole lot of changes, but there are some. So, we are gonna start with ads and publications, 5,500. That's for, notice of public hearings, for ordinance changes, or any, items that come through that require a legal notice of any kind. The subscriptions and dues, 1,500. The first one is the International Institute of Municipal Clerks for Yvonne and I. The New Mexico Clerks and Finance Officers Association for Yvonne and I. OptiSigns, that's the subscription for the TV out in front of the building that we
Yeah.
post notices on. That's what that cost is. And we have a other, in case some other subscriptions and dues come up, to make a total of, to make it a clean 1,500. We have our postage of $250, general office supplies, $1,500, general supplies, $500. And then elections this year, 22,000. It was almost, it was 17.5. Last election, I increased it to 22,000. The next one is our contractual services, vital records, records destruction. That's the service of the 4 bins that we have in the building, that we put records in, or any kind of documents that need to be shredded. And then Vital Records picks them up after the records, certificate of records destruction is approved by the governing body, and takes them away. And that's, we budgeted an amount of 5,500. We did go up from last year, but that's because Yvonne and I have increased the amount of records that we are destroying. The recording lien fees, that's the fees for recording or releasing liens on utility bills. The telephone is in there. Travel and schools, 85. We did increase that from last year only because I had assumed or was appointed a position on the clerk's, state clerk subsection that required me to go to a few additional places. Most of it is going to be focused on Yvonne and her getting her certification for designation as a certified municipal clerk. Equipment and maintenance. That is if anything happens, I think, with any of this stuff here, the microphones or anything in the council chambers to run our meetings. And then we have the software maintenance. We have Civic Plus. Civic Plus is the company that we use to codify our municipal ordinances. And we have Granicus, which is the software for Novus Agenda, which will be migrating to Peak. And then we have Laserfish of 5,600, which is the scanning software we use. We anticipate there may be some changes to that software. The current software we have on Laserfish does not have the records management module in it, which would, you would enter your origination date, a cutoff date, and a retention date where the life cycle of the document is up, and it would notify you that it's time to destroy that. We do not have that on our current system. So I have 2 proposals from Laserfish. One of them is updating what we already have, which is Avanti 10.4. Laserfish is up to year 12, but we're still at 10.4. I have an estimate adding the records management module, which would increase the current $5,600 a year to $8,220. Or we can go to Laserfish Cloud Enterprise Site License Upgrade.
which would include the records management module plus a forms management module, and that would be a total of $8,300. So either between the two upgrades, there's only a $120 difference. The one we have now is site-based, it's not the cloud. So Michael and I and Ron have been discussing where we want to go with Laserfish. Right now, we use it strictly for records. Right now, we've just been using it for records storage and searching and retrieval. So if we want to upgrade to the records management module, we have, with the current system we have that estimate, and then estimate for cloud enterprise site license upgrade. So we'll be discussing that and deciding which direction we want to go. And that's my budget.
Oh, Jenny, that's
Yes.
fine. I just wondered, from a user standpoint, how user-friendly is Laserfish?
I feel like it's user-friendly. Yvonne does not. But keep in mind that I feel that, well, so when I first got here, Eric Boyda was the administrator of Laserfish.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why or how that happened. Eric Boyda.
And counselors, just as a random comment, having done contract management and document management as a main priority for like 10 years, I don't think it is generally user-friendly outside of the initial super user. So in most cases, if you were in PD and you wanted to look up a general contract, to jump into the system and type in year 2004, everything that comes up, the way that the cataloging system is, our very own Dewey Decimal System, so to speak, doesn't exist. And so Jenny and Yvonne have done an amazing job in trying to fit everything in, but without having another component. But it's difficult to find information versus having those tickler systems, having that user-friendly component that says, what am I looking for, and entering keywords or entering key years. And so those are the things I think that would make it actually efficient and functional for the rest of the village to use, to be able to help keep track of those documents rather than just being a storage facility. It's like walking into a giant warehouse and just plugging stuff in on shelves and you saying, okay, go find it. Here's the map that we've tried to create. I don't know, it's in box X. And that's the frustrating part.
I did not like Laserfish for the bank.
I mean, and maybe I'm okay with it because I've had very minimal experience with it before, but being tasked with records management, I make it work.
Sure.
I tried my best to go in there and do what I need to do.
Sure.
But Yvonne did. She's taken a couple of the online courses and stuff, and she did not find it very user-friendly.
Yeah.
But that's why, for us, I think at the end of the day, we're not gonna sit here and tell you which
Oh, heck
program
no.
to use.
Right.
You're gonna come to us and say, hey, what works for anybody that walks up?
And we
That's
all-
what you
right.
wanna have.
And Counselor Hooker, we all need to be trained the same.
Yep.
And a lot of that hasn't happened. You can use different techniques when you scan by filling in quick fields with metadata or using a template. Sometimes that's used, sometimes it's not, but that affects how easily you can retrieve a document when you search for it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I was just questioning it because for succeeding users, it's going to be important for those handoffs. And I think it's very frustrating when you just see, I'm old enough to remember file not found blinking in the upper left
Yeah.
corner, so.
So how long is it before Yvonne gets her certification?
Well, okay, so for the CMC, it requires 3 years of Institute and Academy, but there are extra hours involved. She needs to send everything that she has in to them. They will sort through everything she has. She can use some previous experience that she had with the county to count for some things. FEMA classes count. There's different things outside of the clerk's training that will go towards that. Leadership.
Oh, yeah.
points. So I'm encouraging her to send all her stuff in. The form that they have you fill out is very intimidating. It's like 60 hours. And real quick, she may attend a conference that's 40 hours and receive only 4 points for that. So it does take a while, but if you send everything in to the Institute, they will sort through your paperwork and put it where it needs to be. So I'm encouraging her to do that. And then after the CMC, it's probably another 2 to 3 years for the MMC. I think it took me 5 to do both. So she's well on her way, and
Beautiful.
I will be starting to, at some of the future meetings, nominate her to fill certain positions, like to serve as alternate director, board of director for our
Yep.
region, just to get her name and her face out there and show off the abilities that she has, and to start maybe volunteering to help put some education programs and stuff together.
Yeah, that's great. Congratulations. Thanks, Jenny. We appreciate all that you do.
Thank you. Any questions?
We're easy.
Speak for yourself.
Well, I'm a hooker, so.
Hi, Gina.
Turn this on? Okay. Do you have a preference of which one we do first? Thank you. So I'm going to go really quick. The legislative budget didn't change much at all. We have a pretty large sum, $108,000 for the Ruidoso Insider. Then there's subscriptions and dues. We put $36,000 for that. Expenses for uniforms, we kept that at $1,000. Office supplies and postage, $500 stayed the same. Special projects for the mayor, $15,000, that's the mixer and anything like that. And then a contingency of $10,000. The contractual services, it's at $151,147, that stayed the same. And those are for just different things like Community, Region 9, and Boys and Girls Club, Midtown Association, that did go up a little bit, I believe. Contractual fees, $160,000, mayor's cell phone, $520. And then, of course, your travel for Lincoln Days, the Muni League, those kinds of things. Training and development is your membership for some of those, to participate in some of those things, $2,500. And then the Moon Mountain rent of land for $6,000. And that's for the
Now,
activity area.
Whenever, like, say, I think Counselor Corey and I are gonna go to the Molly stuff. That's in here, right?
Yes, that's under your travel.
Okay, cool.
And that is kind of it for legislative. There wasn't much change.
So we didn't get a raise or anything?
I rallied for that.
Well, thank you, Gina.
You do have an election on there, right? Is there an election? So, well, that's on the, that's gonna be on the clerks, but
Yeah.
depending on the following next election, if the county commission does get an increase, and then that part of the council will get it, it's just kind of,
Oh, yeah, back and forth.
Yeah.
or a decrease.
Yeah. Well, when the insurance goes up, the
Yeah.
income goes down.
Right. The administration services, they didn't change much either. The ads and publications, 8260, that's for, well, that's their ads and public miscellaneous publications. The subscriptions and dues, leadership, that went up a little bit for the municipal league, membership for the manager, or the village manager and deputy village manager. The Zoom that we use, Amazon, Flashvote, and just some miscellaneous.
What's flash vote?
Flashvote is what the agency uses when
Yeah.
they do giant surveys, when they poll the community.
Okay.
Routine mailings, about $600. General office supplies. General supplies are rather large because that's for the whole building. Copy paper, water, coffee, miscellaneous stuff like that. Janitorial supplies, of course, utilities, fuel for 2 vehicles, and then contingency fund. It stays the same. Contractual services, $10,000. Professional services, $15,000. Sometimes there's some additional title searches or security system has to be fixed or maintained. Telephones, $15,000. Actually, I think it's 12 on this. Travel and school, that's the travel for the village manager and to travel to all of the same things. And training and development, those are just registration fees. And equipment rental, that covers the building, like the postage machines, the copiers that are in all the rooms here. The big copy room and then just off of the executive suite. Vehicle maintenance, it's rather low, which I found surprising since the Suburban is a 91, but it's in really great shape, so that didn't move. And building and property maintenance. And that's it.
Good job.
Everything
Gina,
stays
which,
the same.
you said it was a 91?
Isn't it a
No,
91?
it's a 2018, 19,
2019?
18?
Yeah, there's not too many 90.
Oh, maybe.
No. So,
No worries.
Well, maybe that's why I get such a great quote when I have to get it in for
if
oil
that's the
change.
case,
I
we'll
don't
trade it with Eddie if that's the case. Since we kept it nice.
So
Right.
this is a weird question because it's $100, but what's the Leadership New Mex, $100 for Leadership New Mexico?
What is that?
Bueller,
Oh,
Bueller.
Most of the I think we act as a sponsor through the municipal league. It's one of those items. But if we ever want to do like a submission, so if Jenny or one of
Yeah.
us or one of you all would like to attend, we can submit that application on behalf easier.
Because all I was thinking is it's going to cost a lot more than $100 for Leadership New Mexico.
So I know there's 3 different phases. The full phase is, I think, a 1,500 commitment, and that's like a annual participation program. They have the younger Rising Stars component. That's a 4 lesson component. I think that's at $800. And then I think the government one, which is 2 sessions.
That
5 sessions?
Yeah, that's a great
500.
one.
$500.
Yeah. I
Michael,
went
do
to-
they have one for setting sun?
I think that's the full one, but no.
The leadership
that the
government
$100
is
one?
very
I see.
good. That's a good one. Okay, thank you. And Gina, thank you for keeping this going in the right direction. You're
welcome.
Appreciate it.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Do we want to keep going or we need to take a break?
Let's take a break.
Taking a break, friends. Taking a break. Yeah, we want to stretch it out to get our lunch.
Stretch it out.